and welcome to Chicago Drive Podcast, a podcast where we're going to teach you how to become a safe and responsible driver. So today we're going to be talking about auto care insights here with my dear friend, Frank. He is the quality control and trader coordinator here at Nova Driving School. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Hello, Naya. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, a pleasure. So today we're going to be talking about why maintaining your car in perfect condition is really important for your safety, and why is car maintenance so important in any type. What kind of cars are we supposed to be having, taking more care than others, right? So also we're going to be talking about the environmental impact of having to maintain a car. What about financial? Is it expensive to take care of a car? It's not too much of it. What advices you will give us to all the listeners here in our podcast? So let's start for the first question. How important is to take care of your car?
It's incredibly important. It's your main means of transportation. If you don't take care of it, then you have no way to get from point A to point B.
Exactly.
You'll have to take public transportation, which can be very costly nowadays.
Yeah.
So having
definitely.
a car with working car is very important. So maintaining your car in good condition is incredibly important. And there's many ways of maintaining a car in good working condition. You have to do regular checkups, such as oil changes,
Right.
tune-ups, brake jobs, having the car checked periodically for the transmission fluid, the brake fluid, all the fluids that are in the car,
Right.
just to make it work properly, continuously, and also avoiding potholes, avoiding bumps as best as you can, because every time you hit a pothole or a bump, in a way you're damaging and putting more wear and tear on the suspension. And there's many components to the suspension.
Also, the weather plays a good too, right?
Weather, exactly, yeah. You have to drive accordingly when their bad weather is around. Whether it's rain, snow, ice, sleet, you have to drive accordingly for the purpose of maintaining your car so that you don't crash into another vehicle or another object.
So how often do we need to keep, regular maintaining your car?
Well, the best source of information is your owner's manual.
Okay.
But oil changes are regularly every 3,000 miles or every 3 months, whichever comes first, not whichever comes later.
Okay, so I can be driving for a month and hit the 3,000 miles.
If it's still under 3,000 miles, once 3 months hits, time to change it, because the viscosity of the oil starts to lessen by time.
I see.
So every 3 months or 3,000 miles. So if you go through 3,000 miles in a month, then it's time to change the oil.
Okay.
But if you don't go 3,000 miles and 3 months have passed, time to change the oil.
How about the transmission?
The transmission, you don't really have to do anything. It's a sealed system, but it has to be checked periodically. It's not something that you're constantly replacing. However, if you are replacing transmission fluid, that means something is wrong.
Right.
Now, tune-ups nowadays with new cars, you can go through 100,000 miles without having a tune-up. But in the older cars, tune-ups were usually done about once a year or once every 2 years.
So what is considered a tune-up? What is
A tune-up, basically what they do is they change the spark plugs. In the old cars, the rotor cap is changed, and that's where the spark plugs go into. They change the spark plugs themselves. They change the wires.
Wires?
Yeah, and they just check everything that has to do with running the car.
Awesome. So do you recommend also doing any type of alignments on the tires or rotation of the tires? Because that's also something very important for any driver that's, to keep maintaining your vehicle.
Absolutely. You rotate the tires once a year, but you don't really have to worry about alignments unless you feel your car that's starting to drift in one direction or the other. Then you have it checked for alignment. However, whenever you get tires rotated,
Right.
they should check the alignment in that moment. Every time you have something done that requires taking the tires off and putting them back on, not only the alignment, but they also have to balance the tires. When you take a tire off, and you fix a flat, they have to rebalance the tire so that the tire doesn't wobble.
And then you be shimmy and
You can shimmy on the road, yeah, and you'll feel a little shimmy.
Okay, so all of these things obviously will take it to a mechanic or a auto shop.
Absolutely.
Things like
These are
that,
things
right?
that you can't do exactly on your own. However, oil changes you can do on your own.
Oh, okay.
There's some DIY maintenance that you can do. DIY, do it yourself. Oil changes are something that you can do yourself.
Right.
You will need an oil pan to put under the engine so that it catches the oil.
Okay.
There's a little knot that holds the oil from coming out. You take that nut off, and then the oil spills out into the pan.
The pan.
Yeah. Then you, with a tool, special tool, you take the filter off, but you hand tighten it. You don't tighten the filter with the tool, because then you'll never get it off.
Right.
And then you replace the oil.
How much of oil do we need to put in the engine once we do an oil
It
change?
depends on the individual car. You use your owner's manual to determine that, but generally it's about 5 quarts of oil.
Okay, perfect. So besides the oils and all the things that we are capable of doing without taking the car to the mechanic, is there other things that we can do our own?
With enough experience, you can change the brake pads yourself, because
Really?
it's not like in the old drum brakes. There's 2 screws that you take out from the caliper to release the pads. You put the pads on, and that's assuming that the rotors are still in good shape. If the rotors are scratched, then you would have to take it in so that they can either cut them or replace the rotors.
Great.
Yeah.
So how about the battery?
The battery is something that you can do on your own, yes. Now, you would get a tester just to test and see if your battery needs
So
to be
they do
replaced.
have a time of living, right? The batteries?
They do have a lifespan, but
Yeah.
they're generally good for several years.
Ah, okay.
But if you're having trouble getting your car started, and each month it takes a little longer, then probably you need to replace the battery. And also depending on how old the battery is. Batteries do have a warranty, so if it's just a year old or 2 years old, there's some warranty that you can go and get it tested. They will test it to see if it's keeping a charge. If it's keeping a charge, then you're good. If it's not keeping a charge, then depending on the warranty, they'll replace it for free.
Okay.
Or if it's been several years and the warranty is expired, then you'll have to buy a new battery.
And majority of the time varies depending on the brand as well, right?
Well,
What's the average of a battery when you go buy it?
it depends. Some batteries are good for 5 years. Some batteries are good for 10 years. It depends on what battery. The more expensive the battery, the longer it lasts. And
Okay, fine. So it depends. You got choices there.
yes, and each battery has a different source of power, meaning not source of power, but output of power. So you would have to get into your owner's manual to determine which is the proper battery for that particular car.
Right.
You don't want to get a truck battery for a little smart car, and you don't want to get a smart car for a big SUV, because
Right.
it's not going to work out.
Okay, great. Any other type of fluid that we should, they'd be easy for us to change? Just
Well, not necessarily.
thing?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, there's other fluids that you don't necessarily have to change, but replenish, add. The windshield washer fluid,
Okay.
the coolant, that has to be periodically replaced.
And I believe that we use different kinds of coolant depending on the weather, because they have colors. Because I go to the auto shop to get, can I have, for my coolant? And there's like sometimes, majority of the times, they give me different colors every time I go. What
Well,
colors?
your car, you go to your owner's manual for that. That is specific to your car.
Okay.
There's the one that's kind of like a yellowish neon green,
Yeah.
and then there's the reddish one.
Right.
But your owner's manual will tell you which one to use. Yes, you can't
know
just.
why we have those colors? Or
There is. I wouldn't know. I'm not exactly a mechanic, but the mechanic couldn't give you that information better.
perfect.
And it might even tell you in the owner's manual why. However, the windshield solvent, there's different colors for that one for different
That too?
reasons.
Yes.
Throughout the year, you use the blue one. But in winter, you have to use the purple one because the freezing level is much lower.
Right.
The blue one will freeze quickly. So then you're going to get ice on the windshield. But with the purple one, the freezing temperature for that one is like minus 21.
Wow.
Somewhere in that area.
Right.
So it's going to stay without freezing for the whole winter.
Yeah. The whole...
And then you have another one that's for bugs. It for some reason it's able, and if you do a lot of traveling from state to state, that would be the one to get, because it has a solution that it kind of melts away the bugs that get attached to your windshield.
Nice. So it's almost a misconception about keeping your car in good maintenance, that it's going to be costly to you. But on the other hand, I think not keeping it in good maintenance will be more costly.
That is absolutely correct. The maintenance that you do is not cheap, but in the long run, it's a lot cheaper than having to fix something that got damaged because of your lack of maintenance.
Right.
We cannot put things off for later, because then it's going to cost you more later. For example, an oil change can run you anywhere between $20 to $70, depending on where you go and what kind of car you have. Exactly. And what kind of oil you choose.
Right.
There's different levels of oil, different values of viscosity. However, that cost is a lot less than having to replace the engine. If you don't regularly change your oil, you're going to ruin your engine. And then it costs like $7,000 or $10,000, depending on your car,
or double the what
to replace the engine, when you could have been spending $50 every 3 months.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Same thing with the transmission. A transmission could cost anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 to replace.
So you will say that preventive maintenance is a good way to go.
And it's an excellent way. Of course, you're going to have to spend a little, but in the long run, it's going to save you tons of money.
And that's what we need in these times, right?
Any money saved is a big benefit. Yes.
So in your own opinion, Frank, and your expertise, what are some tips that you can give to our friends that are listening to this podcast?
Have a list of your regular maintenance that you need to do, so you can do it in that order and not skip. If you don't have a list, then eventually you're going to forget. You're going to say, oh, did I do this? And you have no way of remembering based on the list.
Right.
And this way you can check off the list. Do your regular maintenance. Do the oil changes religiously. You have to do them constantly. Have your car inspected regularly. If you keep your car in working condition, then you're going to have a long-lasting car.
Nice.
Yes.
So thank you, Frank, for being here and teaching us all your expertise about keeping our car in a safe condition.
Yeah. Working condition. Yeah.
Working condition and safety conditions. So for the next program that we're gonna have another one very interesting here in Chicago Drive Podcast. My name is Naya. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget to follow us in this podcast as Chicago Drives, and also follow us on all our social media, where you can find different things that we're going to be teaching, different things that we're going to do, that we're doing here at Nova. So until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.